Hi. I am a resident of the state of Illinois and also of Cook County. And the purpose of this video is to explain a situation that I've had to put up with due to basically the very rigid procedures of the Illinois Air Team, which is the team that's required for us to go to every other year to pass an emissions test so that we can get our license plate stickers. And so in order to explain my situation with this, I'm going to take you step by step to an encounter that I've had all summer. So for my car, the license plate sticker expired as of August of 2017. And I was given that 30-day grace period like everyone else. And so I needed to have that sticker on my car by August 31st, 2017. It is now September 9th, 2017. And I still have not been able to get my registration my registration sticker. And this is why. So back in June, right when I was about to go and take my car in for the emissions test, I noticed the check engine light was on. I took it to my regular mechanic. He noticed that the issue was a particular valve, which was very difficult to find. So he recommended that I go to a regular dealership. So I went to Jack Phelan's in Countryside, and they put on this one piece that I needed, and then they said that another issue was that I needed a new PCM because the one I had was defective. So I paid money for that valve that they installed and for a new PCM. And they knew this was for emissions. And so they had basically said, okay, now you should be ready for your emissions test. A few days later, I went down to an emissions testing site thinking, okay, I can get this done with, over and out. No. Basically, because even though it was a few days ago and I had been driving my car around, the issue is I did not fail the test. The test was rejected because it's noticed that a couple of areas, I guess, in the system were not ready. So, about a day or so after that, the check engine light went on again. And because they had basically said I needed to drive it around for a while so that everything would be ready for testing. So basically, that's exactly what I did. But then the check engine light came on again. And I took it back to my mechanic, and he found the valve that was the issue and had said, okay, maybe you should, since it's under warranty, maybe you should go back to Jack Phelan's in Countryside in order to get this replaced. But I couldn't do that, and this is why. All of the dealerships within the Cook County area. I would say well over 100 dealerships, and that's a lot of dealerships, people. They basically, their mechanics went on strike, and there was no place where I could go in, like, nearby in order to get this part replaced, because I tried Bettenhausen in Tenley Park, and they said that I could bring it in, but I had to have another diagnostics test. And basically it's to run the machine, to check the codes, whatever. And that diagnostics test would cost $140. The interesting thing is, when I went to Jack Phelan's in Countryside, we tried this. I had to pay $140 for the diagnostics test then, even though I had documented proof that of what the code was. They said, no, sorry, you have to pay $140, so I did. So, considering how I had just paid $140 for a diagnostics test less than a month ago, it seemed unfair that I'd have to pay another $140 just for them to replace a warranted part. So, I spoke to the people at Jack Phelan's. They contacted Bettenhausen. They were completely unobliging. They would not budge. So next, I tried calling DuPage, the DuPage dealership in Glendale Heights, Illinois, and Jack Phelan's were able to work something out where DuPage would send the bill for the diagnostics test to Jack Phelan's so that I could get that part replaced. So I take it in, and less than 30 minutes, they come out and they say to me, we have good news and bad news. The good news is you need a new car, which was ridiculous. And then he starts mentioning all of these things that were wrong, like certain valves that weren't even emissions related. And he basically said that my entire right side was rotted and that I needed a new gas tank. So, since Jack Phelan's and my mechanic did not say anything about this, I went back to my mechanic to check it out. The right side, people, was not rotted. But just part of the body on the right side was rusted. The body, mind you, making the car completely safe, even though the people at DuPage Chrysler said that it was unsafe to drive. And they checked the gas tank. Nothing was wrong with that. So this mechanic, who's really dedicated, if you're interested, you could send me a private message. I will give you the name of my mechanic. He comes highly recommended. Best mechanic I've ever worked with. And he went out of his way, even calling out of state, to find the part that I needed. And so he came in, and he put in the part. And then when the check engine light came on again, he basically took all of, like, everything that was not, that he did not take care of himself, he replaced all of the parts that were emissions related, all of the valves, so that there's no reason why it wouldn't pass. And in fact, because he was so dedicated to helping me pass this emissions test, he would not even let me pay him for the services until after I passed. So what I did was, I waited a few days to give the car, a chance for the system for the codes to develop, or whatever they call it. I take it back to the emissions test. It's rejected again. And they had said basically that it's just a matter of, letting it, driving a little while longer, so that you could, the drive cycle, they call it. And sure enough, a day later, that check engine light came on again. So this time it made no sense. He looked over everything. Everything was in good shape. And because of that, my mechanic basically, he had given me a very detailed report of all the work that was done, and recommended that I go to get a hardship waiver, which is what I did. In fact, when I came and he typed up all of the papers, because the check engine light was on again, I asked, should I leave the light on? Should I turn it off? And basically he had said, you can go ahead and turn it off. So, right after I turned off the check engine light, because I have one of those OBD2 machines, the scanners, and I went over to the local emissions place. I didn't get in line for the test. Instead, I parked, went to the office, explained the situation, and the guy said that there's nothing they can do because the check engine light was no longer on, and that the only way that I would qualify for an exemption or whatnot is if the check engine light were on and I would fail the test. But since there was no light that would be on, I would not fail the test would be rejected. So, and he basically just said to just keep driving it until the light comes back on, and then we would have something to do about it. But the thing is, though, so I even went down to the Secretary of State office in Midlothian, and I reminded them how when the state had no budget last year, how they allowed people, because of that situation, to get their, their registration license plate stickers without passing the emissions test. And they basically had said that the only way to get something done is to fight it out with the Illinois Air Team, and that otherwise that's the only thing keeping me from getting my that's the only way that they would allow me to get my license plate sticker. That's the only thing standing in the way, because if someone needs an emissions test, they put a block or a hold on my account so that I could not get I could not get a new license plate sticker. So people, I've already gotten two extensions, 2 7-day extensions for this, and I can only get one more extension for the year. And mind you, I did everything I was supposed to do, but right now the only thing that's keeping me from getting this the only thing keeping me from getting my license plate sticker would be the fact that the PCM is obviously defective. It's new, but they gave me a defective one. So I guess that's 2 defective parts they've given me. And because of that, no matter the fact that there are no leaks and the emissions system is running fine right now, it doesn't matter. And they're not willing to work with me. They're not willing to compromise. So all they're saying is, I just need to keep driving until the light comes back on. And then, once it comes back on, they say it takes a few days for them to process this request. Well, then all that means is, since it's Saturday and they don't open until Monday, it's a matter of me. Basically, I would have to go and get a 3rd extension. So, people, and it's bad enough that for budgeting reasons, they closed down all of the Chicago, within the city of Chicago, the locations for these tests. It's bad enough. But now, they don't care that there's a strike going on. And the only way that I can get this PCM replaced is if I reach into my pocket again, in order to just maybe see if my mechanic can do something and replace the PCM. But I don't think he has the capacity to replace PCM machines. And I already had to pay out of pocket for this one valve because the dealership that sold it to me is on strike. So it's like because of this strike and because of their rigid rules, people like you and me have to suffer. So I'm saying, like, when decent citizens are being treated like this, there's something wrong with the system in Illinois. But, of course, we all know this. Everyone who pays attention knows that Illinois has failed its citizens. The city of Chicago has failed its citizens. Cook County has failed its citizens. They keep giving us all of these taxes, putting all of these demands on us, but for the more they put on us, the less they are able to help us. We pay more in taxes than the rest of the country, and yet when it comes to a lot of things, it's like the only states that are worse off than us are the poorest states in the country. States like Mississippi, Alabama, whatever. So it's time for this all to end. It is time for Illinois to either change this whole emissions requirement or get rid of it altogether. How dare they put these responsibilities on us if they're not willing to work with us when all of these issues outside of our control and their control occur. Did I start this mechanic strike? No. Do I deliberately go around polluting the environment? No. So, it's like we're all being punished for being decent citizens, for doing the right thing, and I need my car for my job. I am a social worker. I need to drive people to get their benefits taken care of. I need to work with people so that they can actually get on food stamps, go to their doctor's appointments. And so, because I work for a nonprofit, if I do not have a car, I cannot take people to these appointments. And while my workplace may be willing to work with me for a while, eventually the problem is, it's gonna come down to, are you gonna do something about this car situation or not? And if I can't, it doesn't matter if I can't afford it after shelling out so much money to pass this emissions test. The people at the emissions office, they didn't even look at all the paperwork I had proving that there's nothing wrong with my car. And because of these stupid laws, stupid requirements, and their failure to work around situations that are beyond our control, eventually, and this has happened, I would have to end up finding another job. No wonder people are getting tired and are leaving this state, because they keep putting all this pressure on us, and they don't. Yes. So I'm saying it is time it's time for them to stop making these emissions tests a requirement, especially considering the fact that there are now much fewer of these emission sites because they closed the ones down in Chicago. But the question is, if this is so important, why don't they have mechanics at these emission sites? Because a mechanic can actually look at it and say, there's nothing wrong with this. This car is not polluting the environment. Give them the stupid sticker. But no, they don't think about that, because a mechanic would cost them money. So they would rather just have a couple of people who work with a machine and print out pieces of paper than to really care about the main issue. Is the car polluting the environment? And my car is not polluting the environment. I made sure of that. But they don't care. So, I don't know who's going to listen to this or what you're going to do about it, but enough is enough. I'm done.